Right, have and have not fans. Now, as the title for this video suggests, is do you feel bad for Candace? I, I think I mentioned this in several videos before the episode She's Going to Be Real Mad premiered. I mentioned this in my episode review, and I'm going to mention it again here. Honestly, I feel bad that once again she put her heart out there and it got stomped on, but even then she was hesitant because she kept calling it out for, this is too good to be true. How are you different from any other guy, and this and that. I feel bad for her on the emotional level of trusting someone who pretty much treated her like trash, for lack of a better phrase, just putting her in a trunk off screen. I'm going to be honest here. I think we could have gotten more emotion and frustration from Candace if we would have seen the Secret Service literally forcing her to the garage and then stuffing her in the trunk and everything, or even getting a glimpse of, her ride back to Savannah, Georgia. I mean, Charles said, I'll give you money for a first class or plane ticket, So, I mean, some people were telling me, well, Jeremy, because I was questioning the speed of it, because one minute she's getting taken away, the next thing you know, Oliver's like she's back in Savannah. So people were telling me, well, they probably got a private plane and everything. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Cause I looked it up and I'm like, oh, when it comes to private planes and everything and jets, it's about 2 to 3 hours to get from Michigan to Georgia. So it all occurs in the same night. Okay, it makes sense. But I don't know if that was the case, because I know it would have cost money to do different things, like, shoot a scene of Candace at the airport, or, Candace on the plane or getting off and things like that. But I think that would have been great to see how it would have affected her on an emotional level. Like, imagine her at the airport in line to get the ticket, sitting down, trying to keep a low profile. Because one minute you're protected by Secret Service and whatnot, the next you're literally on your own. I mean, Secret Service and those two, whoever probably, made sure that Candace got on the flight, and that was it. Because, I mean, imagine her minding her business, once again, trying to keep a low profile at the airport or even on the plane. The next thing you know, some of the TV monitors in the terminal, I think that's the correct term, guys. I've never been on a plane or in an airport, so I'm unaware. Imagine her just showing up on TV, then a couple people look over and didn't recognize her, so then they kind of look at her funny and whatnot. So I think that would have done more to add more sympathy to Candace. Once again, I realize those would have been other new locations to shoot at and things like that, but I think it really would have done well to really drive home the point that Candace's life is crumbling. It really is, because now it might be difficult for her to con anyone at this point, because, well, she's been exposed. It reminded me of when Jim pretty much, taunted Celine for doing the same thing, going up on TV, exposing herself and their 2 sons. Now no man in the country would even want to have anything to do with her. Candace is in the same boat now, where it's like, you want to leave and start over, but I don't know how you're going to do that in the United States, at least. But what really makes me more sympathetic to Candace is the fact that she's well aware that this is all her fault. Karma is coming back on her. And I think her bouncing off of Hannah and their conversation once she returned home really did resonate with me, because thankfully you had an anchor in Hannah to help Candace from preventing herself from going back to her old tricks. Because if Hannah was not at that house for whatever reason, or if Charles, I don't really like what he did now, but you have to admit what he did do was help Candace process, heal her wounds with her mother. And even though he kicked her to the curb, if it wasn't for Charles telling Candace about going and mending fences with her mom, she probably would have went back to the hotel or some other location and went back to her old tricks. So I have to give Charles credit for that. But let's, instead of just, and it looks like Benny's going to be the bad influence now, like, keep the money, and like, dude, shut the hell up and go to bed. Like, Benny, shut up. Just shut up. Candace is trying to do the right thing, and all you're doing is talking about this money. It just, shut up. Now, I've already talked about, her and her mom and whatnot, but let's go back to the beginning of the episode when she's talking with Charles. And I think the most painful part of it was the fact that, one minute, he's breakdancing, they're having a good time. The next minute, it's like no emotion. He's like, I'm sorry. We tried to clean this up. We got to distance ourselves from each other, and that's it. And then he's like, well, maybe. And look, let me just put it this way. I have been crushed plenty of times in terms of being rejected and whatnot. Never really got into a relationship and then got dumped. Unless you count that one time in high school where me and a girl, quote unquote, were girlfriend, boyfriend for a week, and then she dumped me that Friday. So, and that was in a letter. Dang. I have repressed emotions. That's what I got. Depression. But in any case, yeah, it's like to actually have someone open their world to you and you trust them despite all your reservations, they end up crushing you anyway. That definitely hurts. Now, I'm not talking about, it's hard for me to pick a side when it comes to do you feel sorry for Candace, because that encompasses so many things. Do you feel sorry for Candace because Charles kicked her to the curb? Do you feel sorry for Candace because she's about to feel the full weight of her sins coming back on her with karma? Do you feel sorry for Candace because she literally feels lost right now? Like I said before, I think I'm more sympathetic to her from being hurt by Charles than, you know, all of her past sins coming back to haunt her, because that's a hell of her own creation she's going to have to deal with. And luckily, she has recognized that it's her fault. The question is, what is she going to do about it? That's really, and this is really moments like this that define a character's personality. You know, are they going to regress to their old way of doing things, or will they plant their feet, consider a new path, and then try to walk forward from that? And I really do hope it works out for her. But Candace is one of many characters in this show who have done many terrible things, and they have to pay for their crimes. Because I know when Candace, what was the episode, 15 minutes, when she started, when her and Hannah made peace, everybody's like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great moment, but that doesn't erase all of her past sins. And I'm not trying to sound like a, you know, a preacher up here. I'm not saying, I'm talking about all the things she's done, you know, the murders, the affairs, the extortions, and everything else in between. Just because you made peace with your mom, that doesn't mean all your crimes are just washed away, unless you're, you know, powerful or rich or whatever. You can just buy your way out of anything, but you know what I mean. So once again, Candace is just one of many characters, and I'm glad they're establishing that she's going to have to go through a rough patch, a major one at that, because, you know, the series is going on to at least season 9 as far as we know right now. And I'd much rather see her go through this rough patch now than, let's say, season 7 being the final season. Then in the final episode, oh, she finds God, but she still got away with murder and got away with extortions and whatnot throughout her lifetime. But no, this is finally something that she's going to have to face. So the thing is, if Candace can somehow survive all the bad media, all the backlash and everything, then she can truly make a fresh start. I mean, if there was any time for her to find God, this would definitely be that time. But I do hope that we will see some real character growth. And this is probably going to make me hate Benny even more than I do now, because that's the thing about Benny and Jeffrey. It's like, you give it's like they take one step forward in an episode, then they take 20 steps back in the very next episode. Sometimes in the same episode, like at the beginning, they have a really good scene where it's like, okay, well, good on this character. But then halfway towards the end of the episode, then it's like, man, this sucks. You're back to where you started from. So I do hope that Candace doesn't listen to Benny and gives the money back so she can really make a fresh start. That's what I'm hoping happens, but we'll just have to wait and see. And yeah, the whole Charles thing, that I really felt the emotion. Like, you know, and I mean, the only thing I didn't like is like, no, I'll scream, and I'm like, Candace, come on, like, this is not going to be good at all. It goes back to what Oscar said. This isn't one of these situations where you can use your street level smarts. It's like you're dealing with very powerful people, and they're not going to have it, because once again, she was taken away by force. So this was more heartbreaking than the whole I mean, at least with Oscar, you know, he came to her face, even though I really think that was one of the dumbest things he's ever done. Like, literally, your job was done. There was no need for you to go back to Candace's house, literally. So he goes back, exposes himself, and then she has a knife and tries to fight him. Then the whole Quincy thing happens. But with Charles, it's like, what, all she does is, like, you know, hit his chest, and then that's it. And I felt so bad because, you know, she literally once again trusted a man, and then it came back to bite her. So I think I'm more upset at Charles and Candace because once again, I've already talked about, the hell that Candace has created for herself and she has to deal with. Charles did the same thing while holding on to something that wasn't any good for him, because I feel at the end of the day, and this is something that he's even said to Landon before when they were getting drunk that episode, Candace is a reminder of the life he once had. It pretty much, kind of like a kid, who's like had a teddy bear when they were a toddler, but they want to hold on to the teddy bear when they're 14 years old. And I'm not making fun of anybody that does that because, well, we live in an age of nostalgia. I mean, some people might have their stuffed animals in shelves and whatnot, like in cases, and other people still sleep with them. Do I? No. Did I even have stuffed animals as a kid? I think I might have when I was a kid, winning that kind of stuff at fairs and everything, but I was never a dragging the teddy bear around, sleeping with stuffed animals kind of person. I had blanket, and that was it. Kind of like a Linus, but I didn't take it to school or anything. No, it was a nice blanket. That was it. But yeah, it's kind of like that analogy where you have something that's no good for you, but it's a reminder of where you came from. Now, just because you matured and came up in life doesn't mean you have to look down at where you came from, but you have to realize that, hey, that lifestyle you used to live, that didn't really bring you to where you are now. I might have taught you some lessons and whatnot, but you left that life behind for a reason. So, I mean, what really made the scene intense for me is like, Charles just trying to justify his decision. I mean, Candace, pretty much, Tinka in that scene was very well acted. Like her emotion, you could see it in her eyes. And this is just one of these little things, but have you ever noticed when characters wear specific clothing or makeup, something bad's about to happen? Like as soon as I saw Candace with that dark red lipstick, when they first came to Charles' house, I'm like, this is not going to end well. Kind of like in the last night's episode with Veronica with the black lipstick and everything. I'm like, yep, she's about to go acrimony, Dark Phoenix or whatever on David right now. So that was a very interesting touch because it is kind of interesting because when I saw her in that lipstick, I instantly thought about the first time we saw her at the hotel with Jim, and a political figure, scamming for money and whatnot. But then we have a situation where she's literally being booted by a political figure, and I just feel bad because once again, Charles really did this for himself, and Candace pretty much rightfully called him out on it, and it just sucks, the whole situation of going out the front door. Now, here's how I wish the conversation would have went. Like Oliver in the last episode said that the media is all outside, and it's like, Candace, for your own sake, and not for me, but for your own sake, you're not used to this kind of thing. Like if you go outside, they will maul you like lions. So we need to get you out of the back. What we can do, and I know this isn't the best way, but because I understand Candace didn't want to be treated like that, but for her own sake, you got to get in the trunk. We'll carry you to the airport and send you back home. And remember, Oliver made the suggestion in the last episode, whenever he was breakdancing. It was either last week or the week before. I think it was the week before. These episodes run together for me sometimes, and it's like that was like middle of the day. If Charles would have listened to him, that wouldn't have happened. But nope, he just wanted to do his own thing. He didn't want to listen to anybody's suggestions. Now he's accusing Landon of sabotaging, and I don't know if that's the truth. I'll do my own separate video on that one, but I think that there were so many ways it could have been done, and it was. Look, I'm not knocking how the episode presented these scenes. I'm just feeling like, man, it would have been cool if Tyler Perry would have expanded on these scenes just a little bit more to get more of a reaction. Because, I want to see, Candace's expressions and on the way back home, on the way back to Georgia on the plane and whatnot. Like her life was literally taken from, as Charles did put it, your life was in shambles and whatnot. And then you trust and fell for this guy. Next thing you know, he rips your heart out like any other man. Well, Oscar specifically. And then you get sent back home. And that's like a couple-hour flight. I mean, you got time to think. But guess what? You're in your own thoughts. And people are probably looking at you because they recognize you from the news and everything. So it's a bad rap. You're probably trending right now, but in the worst possible way. So I feel sorry for Candace because her heart was broken. In regards of all of her past crimes and whatnot coming to light, this is only the beginning. Remember, Scott, and he has all that hotel footage, and I'm really wondering if they're going to nail Candace for the whole Oscar death situation, because as Oliver was saying, you know, yeah, she might give us some trouble. Well, no, he asked Charles, like, will she be trouble? Yep. And they're going to make a statement to kind of distance themselves from Candace, but if Candace comes out and speaks, then they're going to have to like pretty much trash her. So she said she's going to get even, but I just feel like, you know, when she was screaming Charles for when they were dragging her out, I just felt bad. I'm like, damn. I mean, like they say, always trust your instincts and your guts. So, I mean, but even when Candace had wanted nothing to do with Charles, you know, they were the ones forcing her to go to these dinners and saying, you know, oh, the last woman that didn't do what he said disappeared. So, yeah, she was certainly in a lose-lose situation there. So, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, let me just put it this. I know I'm kind of rambling on here, but I just wanted to get my full thoughts out in regards of, do I feel sorry for Candace? In terms of her relationship, yes. In terms of her past sins and extortion and whatnot, no. This is a hell of her own making. It's just the fact that she got involved with a major political figure. Now she's known worldwide for being a prostitute and a liar and a seductress, pretty much a Jezebel. But that's all I got to say on that. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you feel bad for Candace? And I know a lot of people who are Candace fans probably feel bad because she lost like what she feels to be her last ticket to happiness. But I hope, if anything, the whole situation with Charles taught her that, and this goes for any, you know, women out there listening, or even men, when you think about it, you know, you don't need to find your happiness in one person. Like, you know, if you're somebody looking for a man or woman or whatever the case may be, but let me just speak to the women because we're talking about Candace here. You know, like for women, don't put all your happiness in a man. Like, and even Madea said, some people come into your lives and people are like branches of parts of a tree. You know, everyone comes in. Some people are there for a season to teach you a lesson. Other people are going to be there like the strong roots, you know, to be there for you through good times and bad times. But the thing about it is, the one thing about Charles, he was really able to help Candace and Hannah mend their fences, because once again, I think we can all agree, if Hannah was not there for Candace as soon as Charles let her go, she would have been right back to where she started from, either in another hotel or on the streets, conning people and whatnot, going back to her old ways. So I'm glad you got somebody like Hannah in her corner. Benny, I hope he gets killed next week, because if he starts talking that smack and then Candace listens to him, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. But yeah, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope this is a good conversation starter, because this is one video that it felt good, because once again, and for any diehard Candace fans out there, I think you can all agree, like, this video wasn't me bashing Candace. I know a lot of people are like, man, you always go on about Candace, you hate Candace or whatnot. Nah, not in this scenario. I think that just everything she's done is finally coming back on her. I do feel bad that she did lose what she probably felt was her last chance of happiness, you know, after losing her child, then, you know, trusting and caring for another man who ended up letting her down. Now she feels like she literally has nothing left to lose. So we'll just have to wait and see what Candace's story has in the future. And will her and Charles ever get back together? I'm going to be completely honest here. I hope they don't. I hope they don't. I know some people out there is like, oh, I want them to be back together. And as Candace said, it's like, it sounds like you're just giving up, like you're done. My thing is this, like, you got to pick your own battles. And Charles pretty much decided to pick his career over everything else. And this is coming from the guy who was questioning whether or not he even belonged in the White House, or even if he wanted to win. But now all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we got to get rid of her. I'm going to be honest here. I'm surprised that I don't know if things would have went differently, but let's say if he found out that, you know, because of the current administration trying to bring him down through Candace, maybe he would have held on to Candace just to spite them. It's like, you know what, everybody here hates me anyway, so I'm going to keep Candace with me, not just to show her off like a trophy, like, ha ha ha, you know what, I still won. You hate my guts, but I still got the woman I care about by my side. So that would have been interesting. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And let's say hypothetically, even if Landon did sabotage the situation, would that make things any better? Would Candace be allowed to come back with Charles? If Charles tried to apologize and whatnot, would she even take him back? That might be another video, you know, would Candice take back Charles, or would Candice or Charles take back Candice, whatever the case may be. So yeah, let me stop here because I know I keep going on for like another 20 minutes, but thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, comment your thoughts, and I'll talk to you soon. Congratulations on making it to the end of this video. If you like what you just saw, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, or if you have anything you would like to add to the video, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you want to keep up with me on social media, go to the description box. All of my links for social media are right there. Also, if you feel like you would like to donate to the channel, make sure to click on the link to PayPal. Any amount helps. $1, $5, $20. As a full-time YouTuber, any support from my fans really does mean a lot to me. Finally, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification icon. That way you're kept up to date on any new content I post to the channel. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you in the next video.